Sam, how do I get ready for a modern Pro Tour?
Dan, I don't have a clue, but I've got a good feeling that this week's special guest knows how to.
This week on battlechads.
Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode of battlechads. My name is Dan, and this week I am with only one of my co-hosts, Sam. Sam, how are we?
Yeah, I'm very good. I've had a weekend of Pro Tour, Magic the Gathering interview. How are you doing, Dan?
Oh mate, it's been so fun. I've been sharing that Pro Tour watch party with you, watching most of the top 8, I say. But we did have someone who was at the Pro Tour, right, from the team. We had Gianmarco. Is that him there in the corner?
I think it is, especially when we invited him on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Marco.
Hello.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, you should know by now because he's been on the podcast like 15,000 times. This is Gianmarco, our friend over the English channel down in Italy. Very, 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 very nice man. And he's been with us from this entire time, from going to his first RCQ to winning the RCQ to qualifying for his first RC to then making top however many it was to get a Pro Tour qualification to then going to his very first Pro Tour over in Atlanta at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. So, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for Marco, and that's where the people watching will clap you all in. There we go. Marco, how are you? You okay?
I'm good. Just came back from Atlanta a few days ago. Luckily, I'm not feeling too jet lagged, so already started preparing for the next RC in Antwerp, which is gonna be modern again, and trying to put to good use all the learnings I had at the Pro Tour. So yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Right back on the horse. Like you've got the RC in Antwerp at the end of next month,
November.
So we're recording this on the 1st of October. So you've got 2 months, give or take, to prep for that. So today, obviously, you've just come back from Pro Tour Atlanta. An amazing tournament. I think just before we get into the whole Marco bit and talk about Marco for the best part of an hour, I just want to give props to the modern format as a whole of how diverse it actually is. We had 7 different decks in the top 8, which has been a long, long time since that's happened at a modern Pro Tour specifically. So we've been saying for a couple of weeks that the format's very, very diverse, and there's not much that you could do to want to change it. And I suppose this Pro Tour top 8 shows. No Boros energy in the top 8, so I guess that signs of an even more healthy format. But yeah, that's it. Sam, what do you think on modern at the minute?
Well, considering Tameshi Belcher took down a Pro Tour, I think the modern's in the healthiest position it's ever been in. No, it was good. It was very good. I think that there's 2 things that strike me about modern at the moment. Whether that makes a healthy format or not, I'm sure Marco will jump in and tell us shortly. But the 2 things I really like is if you want to play a strategy, you can. People were playing like Jeskai Chant, so like Ishkron Scepter with Orim's Chant. That wasn't too high on my list coming in. Gabriel Nassif came 12th with some form of Azorius Energy / Blink brew. I think it's fair to call that a brew, even though he's been playing it for some time. And then the other side of that coin is not only do you get to play what you want, but regardless of what you play, if you really want to beat a strategy, then Modern has a wealth of tools and options where you can beat a strategy. For example, you could play Boros Energy with 12 hate pieces for Tron, for example. That's just how the format is. And if but you know, if you really want to gear or you expect something, you get to essentially do that. I think that the actual metagame split was very, very interesting with Gorios at the top, Belcher at second, and Boros Energy and Tron coming in at 3rd and 4th, carried by Marco in the Tron bracket, I hear. But Modern's fantastic. I think that you can't ask for much more from a format. There's some arguments to be made here and there, but no, made for a good Pro Tour weekend, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Marco, how do you feel about it? I mean, you've been playing Modern since sort of like April time now, this is right after Bologna. How do you feel about the format overall?
Yeah, so I did play Modern before, the year before, when we had the One Ring and, Gam Elemental, and that was not so enjoyable, I would say. Now it's really fun. So, yeah, I basically restarted playing Modern just in May, I believe. That's when I really restarted. But to be full disclosure, I played very little of the format because the way the format was before always kind of intimidated me, and it didn't feel that funny. Or that fun, sorry. And now it's great, and I really enjoyed the preparation leading to the PT was quite intense. Unfortunately, I didn't get the result I wanted, so I got destroyed at draft. I went 0-3, despite me showing up there quite confident on my drafting skills, but that's definitely a different animal. More about draft later. And then constructed, I ended up 2-3. I think I could have done better there. I got 2 real bad games where I flooded really, really bad, including one where I had a Flash Raker on the battlefield and the opponent sitting at 1 life. Somehow I managed to do 3 lands. Yeah, otherwise I think I would have ended 3-2 very likely, but hey, it is what it is. Still happy about a 2-3 at the PT in Modern, so I'm not terribly sad. Tough. The field is obviously super tough. But yeah, format is really enjoyable. Really, really liked it.
Yeah.
The battlechads approve of Modern at the minute. Great job, guys. Great job.
Yeah, and obviously that's why Wizards are making such a good Modern format. For me, you need to be like, thanks, Wizards.
Yeah, thanks, Wizards. Rubbish promos, but great job.
Yeah.
So, Marco, that leads us on to sort of, obviously, you've done a lot of testing leading up to this Pro Tour, this big, massive event with, some maybe well-known people. So, what decks in Modern did you start on testing, and how did you sort of lead up? Sorry, I'm just going to say it. You ended up on Eldrazi Tron. You've already said it. The Galarian Flesh Rakers. So yeah, you started on, you finished on Tron. How did you get to Tron? What was sort of like the processes behind your thought process, I guess?
Yeah. So at the very beginning, actually, I started testing Eldrazi Ramp, which is like the Gruul version. So the one with like Emrakul, the Promise End, and you play all the Utopia Sprawl and Malevolent Rumble, etc. I started with that one, but it felt quite weak. At least at that time, there was no Icesteel Explorer, so I was just playing, let's say, the version before the Icesteel. It didn't really feel good. I was having quite poor results with it. Partly, I think, because the deck is quite complicated. It's a lot more complicated than you think because you have a lot of selection spells, so you really need to know the deck inside out. But partly also because I felt it was really weak into combo. So you were definitely conceding game 1 and then very likely also game 2. So I didn't like so much that kind of the way the deck was looking. I also recognized I wouldn't have the time to really master the deck if I need also to master limited at the same time. So I kind of dropped it and said, all right, I want to find something that is relatively simple, but at the same time very strong, right? So that was what I had in mind. And then actually I have to give credit to Sam here. He suggested me, hey, why don't you try Tron? Note that at that time it was a very hipster choice. I think it was like 1% of the meta, whereas Eldrazi Ramp was like 8% of the meta at that time or something like that. And I said, yeah, why not? Let's try it. I started playing the deck. I had crazy amount of success. At that time, there was very, very little hate. So I thought, okay, let's really learn the deck inside out. Hopefully it stays like this until the PT and the deck still goes under the radar. Exactly, that was my hope. And that's also why I picked Tron. because it was a bit of a niche choice at that time. And in a field without a lot of hate, it really thrives. So that was my thinking. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks before the PT, Tron became really popular. People were bringing like stuff like VayMarr. Suddenly, they were bringing stuff like Obsidian Charmo, who that in the past disappeared from the meta. I mean, Consign was always there, but I saw some really crazy stuff on MTG Online. Like I remember opponent playing a Damping Sphere main board, and he was playing Zoo. Exactly, that was my face then. So I was, a bit not too happy about my choice in the end, but at the same time, I was so invested into the archetype, I didn't felt like changing completely and just jump into a new deck, especially because I recognize my modern experience is relatively small. So it might have done more harm than good. I was trying different versions of Tron. I tried quite a bit the green Tron version, so basically splashing green for Mycospawn and Haywire Might. But I didn't like that one that much. It felt ironically more vulnerable than the colorless one because you rely a lot on your talismans, and I figured that there were Clarion Conquerors in the meta for other reasons, like Belcher. And that card basically shuts down all your talisman, which means it shuts down also all your Mycospawn. So I didn't like it that much. It felt actually less resilient. Whereas actually the colorless one always impressed me because with the Flash Raker you can actually push through the hate a bit better. Obviously, VayMarr destroys you. I saw that at my PTQ on Sunday when they go to Mirror. It sucks. But but beside that, it's I think it's worth it. I think VayMarr won't be as popular, to be fair. It's very, very niche, so I don't see people playing so much of it, hopefully. And yeah, to be fair, at the end of the day, I was a bit terrified about bringing Tron, given all the aid, but it felt fine. And if I were to redo the whole experience, I think I will probably still bring colorless Tron, to be fair.
That makes me feel better.
Yes. Yeah, there was the hate was there, but I'll be honest, I was really satisfied about my choices in the deck list. So I decided last minute to run 2 Stonebrains mainly for the Belcher matchup, and I added 1 extra Soulless Jailer. So I had 1 Graph Digger Cage and 1 Soulless Jailer. So I actually increased on let's say Graveyard Hate, which kind of paid off given Gorion Belcher being very popular. So I was quite happy about the choice. I was happy about the Sky Sovereign. So cutting Battleship, I think, was the right call. And also having Phyrexian Metamorph, very, very happy. Made me draw a lot of cards thanks to Riddler. So turns out having your own fetchable Riddler from the sideboard is actually good.
Pretty strong,
So it made me draw at least 4 or 5 cards. My Phyrexian Metamorph.
It's better than 0.
Yeah, and just it's a really nice rundown, and that for one, Tron was a great call. I was just 3 weeks early, because obviously I think that it's interesting, Marco, because when we tested, and I say the Royal Week, because me and Dan were involved, when we tested for Bologna, your opinion was so pivotal in our standard testing, and obviously you annihilated Bologna. Your face has been forever melted into that convention hall in Bologna. You murdered that event. It was amazing to watch. But when I would consider myself modern player, so you helped us for standard, and then for one, it was finally nice to be able to pay back the favor and help you for modern. But I loved your dedication to the vibe. I really like this Eldrazi deck, but it's not working for me. Where can we go from here? And then we really did come together as a team to sort of help get you on the right track. I will say that I think it's actually you didn't have. If you go to the Pro Tour, you want to win. Obviously, you didn't win. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to rub your face into it, but I love the idea that you're. No, it wouldn't change what I was playing. I think I do want to touch upon 2 points really. The first one is that I guess I wonder if you'd agree with me. Now you've been. I think doing so well on your first Pro Tour is impossible, because I think whatever you think the Pro Tour is, it isn't. It's much more than that.
Yeah.
And I think that we saw a final between two well-known competitive players, massive modo grinders, both of them, and it's not their first Pro Tour, and I think that it's very, very obvious that your first Pro Tour experience is, now I know how to prepare for my second Pro Tour. And then, you said you did badly in draft. I don't think that's true. I saw your limited deck, and I think you drafted a fine limited deck. But I think that people draft at FNM or an arena or even on Modo and go, okay, I can draft. When you're drafting with people who know how to draft, it's just it's like a different game, right? You're not playing Magic anymore. You're playing Edge of Eternity's limited. How was that drafting experience for you?
It was, I would say, adrenalinic.
Nice.
I think that might be the right word.
That's so funny. I love the idea of the judge being like, okay, you've got 30 seconds and you're just like full of adrenaline.
Yeah. So it was really exciting in a way. I mean, that they will give you, I think they give you 40 seconds for the first pick, but then the seconds they give you get progressively less, by the way. So I think at some point you have like 10 seconds or 5 seconds when you have just a couple of cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, but that, to be fair, I think if you play and grinded a lot of limited, it's fine. Like the time there, I think, is sufficient. Like obviously you do not have the time to start reading the cards. But if you know the format well, I think you can go relatively fast. So that wasn't really the problem. Actually, to me, the real problem was submitting the deck list. Because you obviously have to fill a sheet that says, all your total pool, and then the one you're actually playing. I was a bit paranoid, so I think I recounted 4 or 5 times because, I didn't want to be the guy that messes up the deck list submission.
You don't want to be that guy, no, definitely.
I don't want to be that guy.
That's interesting. So you have to, because I was aware that you have to, and this is true for sealed as well, if you ever do a competitive sealed event, I know that your deck list is you write your entire pool. I know that for some sealed events, you open a pool, fill it out, and then you basically round robin your sealed. So you actually give that pool to somebody else and you get another pool. But you have to fill out your draft and then you have to fill out your deck. So can you change cards in between rounds?
No. So, I mean, your main deck is, let's say, locked in, right?
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So your main deck is really locked in. They also make you build your draft on a separate table, so your pod actually doesn't know what you drafted.
Okay.
And then you're gonna meet the people in your pod. You're gonna meet them. Well, I mean, not all of them, obviously, but three of them you're gonna meet.
Yeah.
So it's also very important that you keep tab. Okay, if you pass the sweeper and you think the guy next to you got it, and you face that guy, that's actually what happened to me. So I saw the guy next to me. We were it was my first opponent, and I knew he had the sweeper. So actually, I won game 1 because I played around the sweeper that he had. So that was the second and third game. But yeah, these are the kind of things to keep in mind, to be honest. I was in a really nice draft
Sure.
pod. I was with Young Dingo, which was also a guest of Battlechads. So we had like a nice chat.
Yeah, shout out
The
Young
guy
Dingo.
next to me was the Belcher player who made the top 4. So
Yeah.
that was another guy, and I had also the player who won the recent Magic Spotlight was also at my draft table. Was also one of my opponents actually. So it's quite amazing the kind of players you meet there. It was actually very exciting for me to play with against those players. But yeah, draft it's tough. I think in hindsight, I came there. My win rate was 67% between paper events and drafts I did online. I thought I was good, or at least I knew what I was doing. But I feel like one thing is drafting at your local LGS, one, as you said, and that's an experience, something that is difficult to replicate unless you have like proper testing house. So a lot of the teams I know, they arrive in Atlanta even 1.5 weeks ago, and they were like grinding limited every single day.
They do like 3 drafts a day, and then I think it's really impressive, and I think that what's interesting about Edge of Eternities is recently we've seen in limited formats like Final Fantasy. It's a really good example. Oh, just before we get into that, sorry, Marco, 3 Chads have made it to the Pro Tour. We've got yourself, we've got Duffy, and we've got Lucas. If it makes you feel better, they've all O3'd their pods in day one. I think Duffy's pod is the worst draft pod I've ever seen. It had LSV in it. It had like at the time Shota Yasuoka and then the world champion in it as well. And then there's just Duffy on the edge. Like, hello.
Hi guys.
But so don't feel too bad. It is a completely different game. But yeah, for like Edge of Eternities as well, the set releases have been really strange. Because Final Fantasy, they had like 7 days to figure out the set from start to finish, right?
Yeah.
And then for Edge of Eternities, I think a month and a half.
Yeah. It was a long time compared to the others.
Yeah, so not only are these testing houses drafting for a week and a half, they've all been so like for those testing houses, if it's a week to go Final Fantasy, they all come in blind and learn together, whereas these guys now learn individually and then share those thoughts in those houses. So the actual brain power and the mind map must have been really
Insane.
cool. What did you actually think of the limited format? Like I've played a couple of drafts and it seems quite fun, to be fair. How was it at that level? Was it still fun or was it just more intimidating?
I mean, the whole experience has been really fun, to be fair. So it was a bit obviously intimidating the moment you like the way my draft started. I remember I was in black at the beginning, and then they started like I think pick 3 and 4. I got past a relic and a Mouth of the Storm, which are 2 very strong cards in blue. So I said to myself, okay, blue-black it is, which is actually an archetype that I'm pretty comfortable drafting. Then for some reason, blue disappeared. Completely. No more blue cards. So I started, keep getting some black cards and started then, running white. And yeah, in the end, it kind of felt fine, but yeah, black-white isn't really my favorite archetype of the set. I think it's a good archetype. I don't think it's a bad one, to be fair. No. And I had some strong cards in it, but yeah, at the same time, it was. I remember, in my head, I was like, "Oh no!" I started seeing all doom and gloom, and I cannot draft anymore. The blue-black, and I couldn't even splash for it because my deck felt very aggressive and splashing blue for a Mouth of the Storm and messing up your mana base. I don't know, I didn't feel like it. So, but I had a lot of, when putting together the list, I remember being very very tense, especially because I remember I had in front of me the Vos. I don't know if you know the player, VOS. Is a Dutch player. I think he's part of the same team as Reduke and Seth Manfield. And the guy finished his deck list in like, I don't know, 3 minutes. And I was like still counting my cards.
You were still drafting? You were getting your last pick?
I was still drafting with myself. And I was like, oh wow, that is really intimidating.
Yeah, wow.
So I managed still to do the deck list, but to be fair, I think there was like 1 minute left on the clock. So and they gave you 20 minutes, but those 20 minutes feels like 20 seconds, to be fair.
Yeah, it just goes so fast.
Just
From what, sorry Sam, but from what,
Yeah, go
what I've
ahead.
seen, like on like through people like doing I'm not a big draft or sealed player, just putting out there now. From what I've heard, like from yourself, from Stefanos, from George, and from other people outside of Chad Magic, is that the format itself is actually really, really fun. The limited side of it. So, you know, you get formats like Murders of Call of Mana didn't really have a great limited didn't really have a great limited format, but sets like this, I can only presume that Dragon's Storm had a decent limited format.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see, you know, when you're watching the draft portion of the Pro Tour, if you've got a good sort of limited format within the set that you're drafting, then it does sort of like entice the viewers into it. I was watching some of the games on day one. I'm like, mate, I just want to go fire up a draft, and I absolutely despise draft so much. So I suppose it could have been so much worse. You could have been drafting an awful limited set, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that at least I don't know. Like I don't think there's like anything good on what knows how to draft. What was your pack one pick one, Marco?
It was the now I forgot the name. It's the artifact, the black artifact. It's a 4/4 that flies, and ETB it gives -X or +X depending on how many artifacts you have.
You see, I think that's where you went wrong, because my pack one pick one would have been Quantum Riddler. Dan, what about you?
Why did
Screaming Nemesis.
Mine would have been
unfortunately
the black charm, the
Arch
triple
enemies
black.
charm.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, just to lock yourself in very nicely. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah, I haven't seen. You know, funnily enough, I grinded so much Edge of Eternity's Limited, and I never ever opened.
Right?
Yeah, I never ever opened the Elegy Acolyte or the Ouroboros. Like, I never had them in my pool. Like, never ever saw them for some reason. And also that happened in the PT, by the way. I was hoping deep inside maybe I'll see them for the first time, but no, never got the chance to play with them.
Maybe that's a good sign though. It's like, because like what archetype does Ouroboros fit into in this format?
The winning one.
That is green.
Yeah.
Big stupid green idiots. Yeah, fair enough.
I think Ouroboros is the card with the highest win percentage. Green blue in general is because like all the green blue uncommons and like signpost rares and stuff really actually I would have opened that deck. Yeah.
Your pack one pick one wouldn't that entire 40 basic lands and everything.
Yeah, so
already came sleeved, fair enough.
So that's interesting. I didn't realize you had to do your deck list like that. That would give me anxiety. Absolute anxiety.
And you know what also gave me more anxiety is that at the draft table, like it feels like you are I don't know, in a church. There is like complete silence. You only hear people shuffling or the judge saying 40 seconds draft, you know. And you know, just calling. Nobody is speaking. And I'm the kind of person that when I'm chat around, but you know, it was like complete silence. Everybody was like super focused. Also, when playing the games against the players, I don't know how to say it, but there was no room for jokes. You know, no room for
banter
chit-chat.
involved. That's all. There's nothing like that.
You know, it was a kind of a different vibe. I'm not saying that at the RP people were cracking jokes to the whole match, but it felt a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
That's how I experienced it.
Mm.
Whereas there, it was like everybody was super duper focused.
Yeah. They just lock in. They just take themselves sort of like out of the room and just become sort of like emotionless in a way.
Just to tell you how also great the organization, say crazy all these players are. In between matches, right? You would think you sit down and relax, right? What they were doing there, they were actually handing out free packs. Yes, I got a lot of free packs of Edge of Eternities. And in between you wait for the round, people were drafting.
What?
Wow, that's cool.
I was like, wow, my brain was melting. And you
That's really
relax,
cool.
you draft, and you know, I was like, that's insane. But honestly, the staff there was amazing. So even people that were eliminated day 2 still hang around the PT area, so you still enjoy all the benefits.
Yeah.
There was a lot of food, so they really took care of the players. And you
That's
know, if
really
you were
cool.
there, they were handing you free packs, and you could just draft or even do sealed. Like you could go to the staff and say, "Hey, I want to play sealed Edge of Eternity while I wait for the top 8 on my match." They will give you just 6 packs, no questions.
Wow.
That's
And it's
really
also
cool.
a collector booster, by the way. So just to make the seal the most spicy, right? Because everybody's competitive. You have to throw in a collector booster. And that was really amazing.
How many packs do you think you were given in total then?
They give you so by default
you get free to draft with.
Sorry?
You get free to draft with as a beginning.
No. They gave us and this everybody got regardless. 3 Edge of Eternities booster in case you want to draft. 9 Spider-Man boosters and 3 Spider-Man collector boosters.
Wow.
Okay. That was like the package, but then when you were in the PT lounge, you can talk with the staff and say, "Hey, I want to practice some draft." They will just throw 3 Edge of Eternities boosters at you.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Insane,
it was So
I really like that when you get to that level, it sounds like the stigma is on the play, not on the product.
Yeah.
Which is because obviously they are a business, right? It's like if you were to ask for free booster boxes, they probably would have said no. But if you were like, I love the idea that, look, we're going to give you a bunch of packs to keep you happy, just have fun. I think that actually is very refreshing to hear, and that you're there to play, not to milk people for boosters. And I love the idea that the staff are on hand with that. Obviously, like the staff at these Magic Cons are obviously very, very good, but there's absolutely loads of staff members, and they all do such a good job too.
The staff there was really amazing. Really can't complain. The judges were great. The people really in the PT area were phenomenal. It's not just because they were handing over boosters, of course, but I mean also the food that they're there. So you were coming there, they had like a really big buffet. So you could have coffee, you could have fruit, you could have whatever, like pastries. Then they will serve lunch and everything. So it's really amazing how they were treating us. The day before, when we had to pick the badge, there was a Pro Tour party where again they were serving free dinner and buffet, and then you get just to hang out with the players because it was just for the Pro Tour participants. So you get to talk with Sif, you get to talk with Duke and guys, and being in the same room as them is pretty. For me at least, it was like wow. And you get to talk with Reed Duke and say, "Hey, how is it going?" Compare your result with him, and so that's very hard to describe. But this alone made me happy. Let's say as an experience. So
that's insane.
Really
The only thing, so I'm like picturing it in my head. Now I'm a somewhat big golf fan, right? So every single year they do like this tour dinner where all of the winners from the previous tours all sit down and have dinner, and you've got like the best of the best in there. That's how I'm sort of like picturing it in my head right now. For those who watch Happy Gilmore 2, it'll be on there. They have like a tour dinner. Anyway, back onto the Pro Tour. So stepping into that room for the very first time, what was sort of like the feeling? What did you get from it? Was it all like, oh wow, this is like the real deal? I'm here and I'm here to compete, or what was your sort of like emotions on that?
Yeah, it was quite emotional. I have to think emotion, like in terms of emotion, I think my biggest concern was how the jet lag was affecting me.
Yeah.
So I did feel some emotions, but at the same time, my biggest fear and emotion was, oh my god, the jet lag is like, I was feeling really tired. I'm not gonna lie, the Friday at least. But just being there, it's also just talking. Like I had the chance to have as opponents some really strong players that won Spotlight Series or were finalists of previous PTs. And playing against them, I have to say, one of the biggest learning I had is that, hey, I went 2-3. Okay, that's not an amazing constructed, but I was very close to do at least a 3-2, if not even a 4-1, against really strong players. And now in my head, something ticked that makes me think, I don't know if there will be a second time, but it felt achievable. Like if I had those 2 wins instead of flooding, I could have made it day 2. Okay, with 4-4, not an amazing result, right? I don't think I would have ever won that game against Titan. So, I mean, nobody did from that weekend. So, but maybe against Zoo and Esper Blink, if I didn't flood game 3, I could have made it, right? And I don't know, this kind of gave me, I'm trying to take the positive out of it. I could make it a day 2. Like, I probably still not might be able to win, but I could make a day 2. So this actually gave me a lot more confidence. And it gave me also a lot more confidence talking with Reed Duke, which is super nice guy. So hi, Reed, if you're watching. And, I was telling him, I was like, hey, Reed, I'm 0-4. I was not feeling obviously so happy. So I was looking, I was joking with him. And he was telling me, I think at that time he was, I don't know if 1-3 or 1-4, I don't remember. And he was like, oh, but don't worry, my first PT I went 0-6. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. Now I have the chance to try to beat Reed Duke in his first PT. Nice. So it kind of motivated me. It really cheered me up. I was thinking, okay, I'm the worst Magic player in the world. Can't even win a game now. And kind of cheered me up. So then I managed to win 2 games straight after. So that thing it felt amazing. Yeah, probably for Reed Duke was just one of the many side competition he had that day, but to me, it kind of inspired me somehow. So
I love that, because one mentality. Look, you're playing FNM, you lose a round. Oh, can't come first. That's FNM, right? But when you start to play these day 2 events, one mentality piece I had for Bologna was, your loss doesn't matter unless it's your 3rd one. And when we play in Liverpool, Dan, later this month, mentality's going to be, well, loss doesn't matter. You can go 0-3 and win that tournament.
Yeah, you can.
It doesn't matter unless it's your 4th loss in the spotlight. But for the sake of, Reed Duke as well, started 1-4 and finished 10th or something ridiculous. You only lose or win, so just get winning, and I love that the idea that, I think for one, the Pro Tour is actually quite accessible to new players, because 4-4 is, no disrespect to anyone who didn't make it, but 4-4 is a lower bar than you typically see with these high level events. It's usually X2, X3. So I like that one thing I really like about that is you can have a bad draft and still make day 2 comfortably.
Yeah.
Which is probably why it's done like that, to be fair. But no, you're not out until you're out, and like I like the idea that Reduke was like, oh, he seemed nice, and he just inspired you, and you're just like, yes. And now you sat here going, I did better than Reduke at his first Pro Tour. It's come full circle.
And also like talking with the known pro players, one thing I realized is that, I know it sounds stupid to say, but they're humans like us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they have their fears, they have their, let's say, exciting decision that they make. I was talking with Calcano, which is another great Tron player, for those of you who know him. And at the PTQ, he was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna jam this Blue Tron, the list I got from Javier Dominguez. I never played it before, but Dominguez said it's good, so I'm gonna play it.
I mean, if double world champion Javier Dominguez says play it, you play it.
Yeah,
right?
and I remember he registered his list, I think 2 minutes before the decklist submission. He just like, I don't think he did too well at the PTQ, by the way, but and you look at this and you're like, whoa, this is the kind of thing I could have done well. Last minute bad decision.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously he's a great player, so probably he can make it work. But I don't know. I look at them. Well, okay, they're not gods or anything, right? They're humans at the end of the day, and they're like,
exactly, yeah.
So if they can do it, maybe I can also do it, right? That's now the kind of mindset I have. Yeah,
exactly. That's it. I mean, that's a really, really nice way of putting it. So, just going back to Bologna. So I played against. If no one knows, I played against Andrea Mengucci in Bologna LCQ.
You beat him once.
I beat him once with 4 Sunspine links back to back to back to back.
Yeah, those guys. I always love you pay the first one, whatever happened to it, and then you just kept drawing, and it was the next copy, and you're like, okay, I love that.
It's like after game 2 when I beat him in game 2. By the way, guys, did I mention I beat Andrea Mengucci in a game of Magic? No, I'm joking. It's like they gave me such a confidence boost, but then actually hearing sort of you saying they are just people at the end of the day, it sort of like grounds you in a way where it's like, well, they might be better at me in a card game, but they are still just people just like me and you. We're just bags of like bones and blood. This is quite a morbid turn, I'm not going to lie. I don't really know where this bit.
When you have people on pedestals, Dan, like you were paired into Andrea Mengucci. Mengucci can have 2 shit draws in a row.
Yeah.
You can play well. Mengucci on average is probably a better Magic player than us, but at the same time, Andrea Mengucci's played a lot more Magic than us, right?
Very true, very true.
So realistically, the only thing between you and him is that commitment. And Marco, you need to wash your mouth out, young man, because you did make it. You played at the Pro Tour. It's not I can make this. You have made it. And the idea is now to get you back on the Pro Tour so that you can win your second one. You didn't want to embarrass Reduke too brutally your first time round. But mentioning Calcano, I'm not sure if you guys, I kind of live on Twitter at the minute. It's really unhealthy. Please send help. But Calcano was on I remember for at least a year seeing, okay, I'm going to try and get back on the PT. Here's Spotlight Orlando. I 6-2'd Orlando. That's not very good. Okay, I'm at the PT for Orlando. On to the next one. And it's just that unrelenting spirit from pro players that normal people don't have. If you do rubbish at a big event, for us, it's I'm down £100 for accommodation and for travel. But Magic is a game of variance, and it's about rolling those dice. And if you want to do well, you just got to keep rolling those dice and play tight. And I imagined you play tight, Marco. Next time, we just got to let somebody else decide your deck for you. Definitely not me. And then
no, I'm very happy about the deck choice, Sam, and I think I might bring it also to Antwerp. Hopefully, the deck will get less and less popular. But I think it's a solid deck choice, and
we'll cut this out, Dan. We'll cut it out just so he's got some
we'll cut it out in
agency.
this open deck list event. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh yeah, that's true. Carry on, Marco. Sorry.
I've got a theory, right? So I remember rightly Sam saying that Glaring Fleshraker is the best card from MH3 that is not getting played. I think Sam has done this on purpose. He suggested to you to play Tron just so that Fleshraker would get played.
Yeah. Spike my 6,000 copies I sleep on every night. No, but like, you know, I think that this is another thing as well, like, and something that we're kind of getting into in a team dynamic, right? Yeah. It's that if you say something to me, Dan, we're in the same team, I at least need to pay that some respect and be like, let's wonder what he's onto. And like, you know, I just want to say I've been on Belcher for coming up to a year now, and it's just, you know, I've had faith in that deck for a long time, and it's just, you know, I talk about this a lot in games, but I think it comes down to actual events as well. There's windows, and you just have to capitalize on your window. I really love the confidence, Marco, that like, okay, Tron's a known quantity now. Still going to play it. Let's give it a go. Is this weekend my window? Or is it next weekend? And I just absolutely adore that spirit. And like, you know, I think that's something I struggle with personally. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know what I'm talking about. But like, you know, if you have a bad weekend, it feels awful, right? It feels really bad.
Really, really.
But like, there was an RCQ the other week that me and Dan went to. I lost my win in him 3 times. Oh no! But like, it happens next time. And I think that's the mentality people have to have. And, you know, like watching somebody like Marco play the Pro Tour, you know, play Tron. It's like and it's not all about me, but I mean, like, I helped that testing process. You know, we're flesh and blood, bags of bone, as Dan put it, which I'm going to steal moving forward. But like, you know, the only difference between me and Marco is that Marco's played the Pro Tour. Now I want to play the Pro Tour. I want to qualify and get there. And, you know, it's really inspiring from our side, Marco, to be honest. Well, from my side, at least.
Thank you.
No, likewise. It's very motivating. It's like, well, if Marco can do it, why can't I? If Duffy can do it, why can't I? If Lucas can do it, why can't I?
Yeah, I mean, if Duffy can do it, why can't you?
By all means, I'm not putting down anyone's magic ability. Those 3 people that I just mentioned are much better at the game than me. But it's switching from that mindset, like Sam said before. It's like, I'm down £100. You know, Spotlight was £75 plus trains to get it, whatever. So it's just shifting from that. It's like, okay, when's the next Spotlight? Oh, it's Leon. Okay, it's a little holiday, worst case scenario, but don't do very.
Exactly.
So I like that. I really like that. Big fan of it.
So, Marco, I guess let's say it is me and Dan that qualify for the next time when that's when we'd be able to get in, Dan. But if you were to give us advice now, hey guys, I've been on this journey, what advice would you give us and to the listeners about the Pro Tour?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, on the preparation, when it comes to draft, try always to draft as you will draft at the Pro Tour, which means like really time your picks. If you're drafting on, I don't know, Arena or MTGO, try not to look at what you're picking, only look at it packs. Try to block your screen with a piece of paper. I know it looks silly, but you need to experience that. You need to be confident on your memory that where you think, okay, I got this, then this card, right? So you know what to pick next. Start really drafting with a group of people that are also drafting a lot the set. Spending, and this is maybe a mistake in a way I did, going to your LGS and drafting a pod where maybe you have a lot of people that just started playing the game or regular, the set is gonna give you not the real experience. So you might be, in brackets, wasting your time, and time unfortunately is limited. So I could like, play 24/7, right? So you need to pick your time correctly, where you want to put the effort. One, I would say maybe possible mistake I did as well is that I was drafting quite a bit on Arena. It's not that bad, to be fair. I think especially at the beginning, go best of one, so you get to jam more and more drafts and get familiar with the set.
Yep.
But I think, if I could go back, maybe I would have drafted more on MTGO. But more importantly, I think you should draft, again, with a group of people that are really drafting a lot. Yeah, they don't need to be PT competitors necessarily. Not every PT competitor, I think, is a crazy good in limited, right? So, but at least people who draft a lot, get there, try to jam as many drafts as you can. And then when it comes to constructed, I was trying different configurations. My recommendation is always think it's open deck list. So certain cards like Disruptor Flute, I was very happy to play it main board. That freed up some slots in the side for other stuff. Obviously, big advantage when you're playing with open deck list because you know exactly what to name. And also take loads and loads of notes. I'm still taking notes. Every time I see I do a mistake, I take note of it. And I remember before the PT, I started reading all my list of mistakes I did in the various matchups and what I need to be careful about, right? So stuff like, hey, Belcher runs Juari Disruption, don't be greedy and 1 mana open, as an example. Right? Maybe they don't have it, but if they do have it, you will feel really stupid when your K command gets counted, right? Or things like, if they have Flage in the yard, and they have 5 cards, just crack that Tormod Crypt immediately. Don't wait for their main phase because you won't have the chance, right? So, stuff like this. Really take a lot of notes. I was trying different configuration. Check your win rate. So I was 100% sure I didn't want to play Tezzeret because some Tron lists do play Tezzeret. I think it's a trap. My win rate went down. Same with Green Tron. My win rate went down. Colorless was the one I was having the most success with. I went with it. I was pretty satisfied about the deck list. But yeah, keep notes, keep real notes, and write down all your mistakes, or also the things that sometimes make you win. That don't only write mistakes you do, but write also the good plays, the good play you could do. Try to find very good players to test certain matchups over and over. Like jamming only MTGO leagues, I don't think it's maybe super good, because maybe you wanna test really a lot Goryo, and maybe you don't always face Goryo, right? Maybe you face one Goryo after 12 matches. So that's again going back to the time you have on. You don't want to spend your time, play testing against, I don't know, Bard the Storm combo in Modern, which by the way is a real deck. But it's unlikely you find it. Unlikely you find it the PT. You don't want to spend time practicing against Omniscience Shifting Woodlands combo. Again, I know it's a deck, but what's the likely? I don't think anybody registered that deck as a PT, right? So these are things that make you waste time, and you shouldn't be spending time like that. Just find a guy that plays Energy or Belcher, and try to jam as many games as the person can, and take your notes.
I like that. It's like if we look back to sort of the last video that we did with you when you qualified for Pro Tour Edge of Eternities, a lot of the sort of like tips and tricks that you've given then still relate to now. It's like you took your notes, and like we're all creatures of habit, and that's one of your habits that you have, and it's clearly worked out for you. So maybe I need to start doing that, just jotting down, don't play bad cards or whatever. So I like that. I really, really like that.
Don't look also. I mean, online there are plenty of statistics that tell you what are your matchups, your bad matchups.
Yeah.
I would say don't rely too much on them, right? Because you might have a certain configuration that actually works pretty well against that deck. So it's good that you keep track of it, yeah? Like one thing I realized, funnily enough, is that Tron had a positive win rate against Affinity, but for whatever reason, I was like 25% win rate. And for whatever reason, I was more than 50% win rate against Titan, which is also very strange. Unfortunately, PT, that didn't happen. But that made me think, right? Like, why am I better or worse than the average Tron player? What I'm doing wrong? What can I learn, or what should I keep in my deck list? Because maybe I'm doing something different that is granting me that extra victory points. And like, for example, for Titan, one of the let's say key for me to get those extra victory points was really, in certain instances, it's worth to time Disruptor Flute and not just jam it and say Titan, but try to see if they, like, if they cannot cast Titan, they might try to go for Escape Shift line. And oh boy, it's so lovely when they go, Escape Shift, they get Tolarian Academy, they Summoner Pact, and then you flute what you think they might be getting with the Summoner's Pact. And then the next turn, maybe they cannot pay for the pact. So sometimes, like, and these are the kind of notes I have, like, don't be greedy with the flute. I don't know, maybe other Tron behave like whatever. I don't know. But always reflect on your own stats, not just the stats you see online.
It's a huge point as well, because stats are helpful, but they're not it. So, like, if 100 Tron players play this matchup 100 times, it's going to be heads 50, it's going to be tails 50. But what about that instance where it lands on its side? It's data without context. And, like, sure, this is a winnable matchup, but you're at the Pro Tour. You've made it to the Pro Tour, so you can win bad matchups, and your bad matchups have made it to the Pro Tour, so they can beat you too. And, like, I think my favorite matchup spread of the weekend, which is no disrespect to the player, but he was on Eldrazi ramp and he had a win in, paired into Neoform. Awful matchup. So he loses. Fair enough. Okay, don't worry. I've still got another win in. Last round of the Swiss, paired into Amulet Titan. And I was just like, oh no. Oh no. It was absolutely brutal. But no, I think that, like, you can, for example, like, historically, Belcher has a bad prowess matchup and a fine brood scale matchup. In my own play-in, I've got a pretty decent win rate against prowess, like, positive in the 60%. My brood scale match, I'm like 1 in 14 historically. I just can't do it. And, like, at some point it begins, okay, maybe you're approaching the matchup wrong. And that's a positive way to use data, but you can't just go, right, I'm favored. That's not how Magic works. Like, it's it can be used as a tool, but I really like that as a thing. And one thing you touched upon there is trust in your gut as well. Look, if people copy lists and play cards they don't like and go, wow, this card's rubbish, and then they register it every single week. I love the idea of being like, actually, I don't like this card and I don't have to play this card. I'm going to play main deck Flute instead. That sort of thing. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And again, I was keeping track also, every time I was fetching some sideboard card with Karn, I was also noting down if that actually made me win the game or not.
Okay.
Like, was it really... And for example, cards like Torpor Orb, I know a lot of Tron players still have it inside. Honestly, I cut it, have no regrets about it.
Yeah.
I know some other Tron lists, though, they also started cutting it, so I don't think I'm alone. But I think that card is really, really overrated especially in the Blink matchup.
Yeah.
I think every time I play Torpor Orb in the Blink matchup, I think I lost, which is quite funny. So that made me think, okay, you know what? Maybe the right card to fetch is Phyrexian Metamorph and call Riddler. Start one that draws cards, as we know in the past, is pretty good.
Look at me, I am the captain now. That's insane.
Look at me, I'm asking the riddles now. I love that. And I think that it's in a bit of an echo chamber with archetypes and cards that are played. And look, you can people registered mono Bluetron, right? This isn't it's not like you're way off base for playing Disruptor Flutes main, and you need to be able to justify every card in your 75. And if your answer is, oh well, I took it offline and I don't really like it, but it seems okay, that's not the place to be.
Talking about Bluetron, little spoiler, that's actually the deck I'm testing now. So that's my brew, let's say like that. But got inspired a bit by one of the lists in the PT. So I cut the 4 glaring flash rakers and put to I think it's called Calamity.
Portent of Calamity.
Portent of Calamity, yeah. So obviously I had to put 2 islands, some blue talismans, cut 2 Sire of 7 Death and put 2 Emrakul the Promised End, because that's kind of funny to cheat in with Portent. And I kept the sideboard unchanged. So far, I did 3 practice games in MTGO, which I won them all, and now again I'm 2-0. Hopefully it can end in a trophy. But I'm really been impressed by Portent of Calamity. It gives Tron the opportunity to win the long game, right? Because I noticed actually I was losing a lot because just flooding or running out of gas.
Yeah.
And that card actually not only is not counterable by Consign, is actually really refilling your hand. You can easily draw 4 or 5 out of it, and then you're back in the game.
Yeah, and it gives your deck a bit of a higher ceiling as well, doesn't it? You can have those nut draws, and if everyone else having those nut draws, I think Tron deserves it too.
Well, guys, maybe you can invite me again.
I can't.
After Antwerp, we'll get you back on.
Yeah, Dan said you've been on 15 million times. That's because you're the only one of us who's good at the game.
Yeah.
and I mean us, as in me and Dan here. We've got other, Jack and George are pretty decent, and they've had multiple appearances. Yeah, I'm waiting for my next invite to the pod, Dan, but it's just not happening, lad. What can I say?
You're invited every week. You choose to turn up.
Yeah, but I want you to ask me. I'm joking. I think
we've got Spotlight Liverpool in a few weeks, mate.
How to go 5 and 6 at your local?
Your local F&M.
Yeah. So I guess Spotlight Liverpool is just a big F&M for me. Okay,
I mean, it's down the road, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally down the road, yeah. Dan, I think. Have you got any more questions for Marco? Or
nope. Everything that I've got written down is all crossed off. I've done a Josh this week, so this is everything that I've got written down. It's all crossed off now. Yeah, and I know I'm a new man. I've turned a new leaf. You know what I mean? However, I've got 2 things written down here that are not crossed off. So the first one, ladies and gentlemen, we are as a team, as it says on Marco's top. UltraPRO, you collect, we protect. The team, Chad Magic, is sponsored by UltraPRO. Myself, Sam, Marco, and everyone else on the team have been using UltraPRO's amazing Apex sleeves line. They are amazing. They come with 105 sleeves per box, and these amazing deck boxes as well. So as it says on the tin, you collect and we protect.
Carry on.
That's 100% staying in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's protected.
It's 100% protected. All those cards, all the Black Lotuses that Sam's just dropped out of that box, 100% protected, guaranteed. May or may not be protected, or have Black Lotuses in. So UltraPRO, thank you very much for sponsoring the team. It's a pleasure working with you as always. We also have a tournament coming up in December.
We do.
This is the Chads for Charity event. So a few weeks ago, we were discussing, sort of like old school winner box events, and I said after the pod, or I think it might have been on the pod, Josh, why don't we just like host our own event? And he's like, oh my god, that's such a good idea. So we've done exactly that. We're hosting our own event. We have teamed up with Harlequins in Preston, who are an amazing tournament organizer. We've been to many an RCQ, many a different tournament. And we are doing a charity event. We're raising money for the charity War Child, which supports children that have been affected by conflicts across the world. So it's a really, really great cause. It's going to be modern, open deck list. It's going to be prizes, raffles, giveaways, all sort of stuff like that. And it's going to be casted live on somewhere on the internet, whether it's twitch.tv or YouTube, one of them too. I think that's it. Have I missed anything?
Just, Marco, we're super happy to have you on, as always. And obviously, congratulations. Amazing. It's been really, really fun to watch you evolve as a player. And I genuinely can't wait for when you make the PT the second time and we've got you back and you're going, guys, I 0-4 again, but I spoke to Reduke and the next one's tonight. I'm really excited to talk to you about your second Pro Tour appearance, Marco. So we're all very proud of you.
I hope it will happen.
Yeah, definitely. What's the next step up in terms of competitive Magic than a PT? It's Worlds, right?
Worlds, yeah.
Yeah,
so if you top 2 Antwerp, you get a Worlds invite.
Easy.
So we can go from first ever RC to first ever PT to first ever Worlds, and close a chapter on that book.
It seems reasonable.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's Mono Blue Tron's going to take you all the way to. I'm sure the draft at Worlds will be a little easier as well because nobody cares at that point. No, it's just cringe, isn't it, to try out at Worlds? But no, I think I can't wait to have you on about your second PT appearance, Marco. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you guys for inviting me again.
Marco, would you like to do the honors of outroing the video, the podcast rather?
Sure.
Okay. Take it away, buddy. Go on. Give us some words.
No, well, thank you again for having me.
Yeah.
What do I need to say?
That's a cruel task, Dan.
Comment.
You can
subscribe.
Share.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. Marco, thanks again for coming on. Sam, you've put it beautifully. Great way to outro the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, Marco, take notes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share it with some friends and family. Also follow us on our social media platforms linked in the description. And ask us some questions. We've got a viewers link down in the description as well. Ask us some questions. We'll answer it next time on the pod. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Sam, Marco, thank you very much for spending the best part of an hour and a half-ish with me. It's been a pleasure, as always. And those at home, thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Catch you next time.